Hello, I'm Alice Bradley. I teach 7th grade English at Ralph Chandler Middle School. I try to incorporate literature circles and Socratic seminars in my classroom. And even though there are two different kinds of discussion, they're both student-driven. The students drive the conversation. They drive what we're going to talk about, and I'm just a fly on the wall. With literature circles, they're in small groups, and they're all kind of talking at once. It's usually usually talking about a novel that they've read in the classroom. And usually with my literature circles, they create the rubric, and then they use that rubric to assess themselves. They write a reflection, and then I use their reflection plus my observation to create their grade. And so they have input on their grade.
I'm Amy Burnett, and I teach mathematics at Berea High School. Has something that I've taught or something that you've learned impacted you outside of academics? Has it impacted you in a way that you can apply it to your life? And so when a student returns 10 years after I taught them and said, I just graduated from my master's program in statistics, that's a huge return on investment for me. And so it's not quantitatively measurable in that aspect. While the grade book is quantitatively measurable, the return on investment is much more qualitative. And of the return on investments that I've seen, the student who sends me an email and says, hey, I just finished my first math class in college and I didn't fail it, that's wonderful. Or even better when they say, and I made an A, and those aren't things that someone observing my classroom is going to know. That's not something someone looking at my grades is going to know. But that's something that I know, and that's where the joy of the return is.
I'm Kristin Danko from Bells Crossing Elementary School, and I'm a 4th grade teacher. When I'm making my lesson plans, what I like to do is I try to plan for all those different levels of intelligence that are sitting before me. One of the ways that I really like to do that is by looking at diverse different types of literature and multitudes of different genres available to us. And I really try to bring the community and bring my families of the students that are before me into the classroom to share. Another thing that I really like to do is use Skype. And we do field trips with museums all across the United States. And we've also had a wonderful experience being able to Skype with some of the authors of some of the books that the children enjoy in our room. And that is an incredible experience because when they're sitting there holding that book and it's one of their favorites and they're talking with the person that wrote it, it encourages them. And some of their writing is just incredible then because it just got to be real to them. It wasn't just a name and a face. It was a real person.
My name is Shiree Fowler. I am a kindergarten teacher at Hollis Academy. I teach in a school that receives Title I funds, and 96% of the students in my class receive free or reduced lunch. And research is constantly telling me that the majority of my students are in urgent situations. Research tells me that my students have heard 30 million less words by the age of 4. It tells me that my students will enter high school 3 years behind most of their peers. It tells me that the students in my class are 5 times less likely to graduate from high school and enter college. So because of their urgent situation, I have to teach with urgency. And the way I use urgency in my classroom is by allowing urgency to become a part of who I am as a teacher.
Hi, I'm Tracy Gay, 5th grade teacher at Crestview Elementary School. I think that the most important ingredient to motivating children is building a relationship with those children and making them believe that their presence in your classroom or their role in the classroom family is important and essential. And part of helping them to believe that is that relationship building component. And I think that I've always thought that children don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. And taking the time to build a personal relationship with them, once they know that your goal is to help them succeed and that you will do whatever it takes to help them succeed, then I think they will do almost anything to please you.
Hi, I'm Stacy Hall at Riverside Middle School, and I'm the 6th grade school counselor. I believe that every student has the potential for success. That success may be defined in different ways. It could be academic success, it could be athletic success, creative success, but I think part of my responsibility as a school counselor is to help those students identify that. And one of those ways is looking at learning styles. We do work in the classroom. I work on an individual basis with students, tapping into those learning styles, academic challenges, personal social issues as well. We work in small group settings, taking an active role in pairing students up with other students so they might find support from those other students who are struggling with particular issues. But it's nice to know that a student's got support within that building and knows he's not alone, that other students are experiencing those things.
I'm Ann Matthews. I teach strings at Greenville Middle Academy. I think the most important lesson that I learned as a student is to set high expectations. I had a teacher in high school, and he was very, very stern. He was old school, but he expected us to achieve at a very, very high level. He gave us difficult music, and when we looked at him like that, we will never play this. It wasn't would we play this, it's when will we play this. He just taught me by expecting so much from me that I could do more than I thought I could. I've tried to transfer that into my classes. Children are amazing. They can figure out what the minimum is to get by with. And I've tried to teach them that it's a very high level that you're going to get by with in my class so that you're going to really exceed your own expectations.
Hi, I'm Shelley Peak, Robert E. Cashion, 3rd grade. I think that you need to model enthusiasm. If you're not enthusiastic for your profession, for what you're doing, for learning, then you cannot expect your children to be engaged. So that is very important, that when you come in every day, every lesson that you're teaching is just the most fabulous lesson with the most wonderful content ever, and you bring that into the classroom. You need to build a community of learners that are invested in each other, and so they encourage each other along, and that's from the very first day. Project-based learning is another strategy where they're invested in it and they take ownership of their work. Using choice, how are you going to represent your work? That gives them that where they feel more invested in it. Are you going to write a story? Are you going to put on a skit or do a poem? That can't always be done, but when it can, it's a really powerful engagement tool.
I'm Dave Quigley. I teach math and science at Woodmont High School. My whole goal is, as I teach chemistry, as I teach physics, as I teach upper level math, teaching those subjects in isolation is going to benefit no one. I can make a connection to the real world. The real world, if that's language, if the real world is history or politics, that's where the students are going to start really making connections and understanding. Sometimes what we battle in math and science is, why am I doing this? And for me to make a connection with the real world, they start understanding that there is a need for it and there are uses for the complex things that I'm teaching.
Hi, I'm Heather Steading. I teach 5th grade at Shoals School. I teach all 5 subjects, so there's a lot of different learning opportunities going on in my room. If you were to walk into my classroom during reading, you would see a real-life literacy environment. Students are working in book clubs, talking about them, they're blogging about what they're reading, they're doing literacy activities on the iPad, or they're reading a book of their choice. In science, they're doing hands-on engaging activities cooperatively, or science notebooking that takes their learning to the next level. In social studies, they experience history through primary sources and discussions. And in math, I might pull small groups, manipulatives, direct instruction, or working with individual students to target certain skills. And then we meet as a whole group and we either reflect individually or as a class to finish up our day.